We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Thursday, and Jace is with us. And, we've never talked about this on the show, but I should mention it. We talked about it beforehand. This isn't the first time Jace has been on some show. Jace was on a show called Ghost Lab, which was basically ghost hunters. He was on the first years, and my wife's a big fan of the Ghost Show. She knows exactly who Jace is. She's far more impressed with Jace than me, which is cool. I get that. But you had a certain amount of fame prior to coming and doing this on the Rational Boomer podcast.
Yeah, we were a local group. We were called Everyday Paranormal, and a couple of brothers, that my ex-boss and his brother, we always talked about the ghost adventure, ghost hunting and stuff, and all the paranormal experiences we had. We in San Antonio is known for it's an old city, so you have the Alamo here, you have the Minger Bar, which evidently Teddy Roosevelt's ghost appears because he recruited Rough Riders here.
I've been
Yeah,
there. I've been to the
yeah.
Alamo and Minger Bar.
Yeah, and it's the same Alamo that Ozzy peed on, or the
Right.
monument next to it. So it's got that to fame. But yeah, it's a real haunted city, and there's ghost tours. You go down to the Alamo, and the Minger's right there by it. And I mean, it's a cool place. I mean, if you don't believe in ghosts, it's cool. It's still a cool tour. I mean, there's a lot of stories, and we always talk about doing a group. And a bunch of us from work got one, and we started, ghost hunting around ghost hunting around town, and we had a website. We got a lot of hits. We actually did a Institute of Texas Cultures. They have a thing back in, it was 2008 when they were talking to Hemisphere Arena is where they had the World's Fair here back in 68, but way before my time, a little bit
Yeah.
before my time anyway, 4 years. And they were talking about, when they built the our tower, if you've ever seen the city's display. And we got interest from A&E. We got interest from Discovery Channel. We ended up being on Discovery Channel, and it ran for 2 years. And if you know anything about ghost shows, there are a bunch of them. The one that seems to survive was Ghost Hunters, and I think Ghost Adventures.
Right.
And I think we were kind of in the running for like what Ghost Adventures would have become. I mean, they were at the right place at the right time, and there's obviously an audience for it. So
Right.
they get a lot of crap for wearing tight black t-shirts, but if you saw any of us, we there's what they say about the paranormal. There's no mediums in the paranormal. They're all
Yeah.
big boots. So
Yeah.
I mean, you get humbled when when YouTube's out there and you read the comments about yourself, and I think that's what's helped me, kind of over the years, like know not to read the comments, because I mean people aren't friendly a lot of times, and oh, this is fake, and and all that stuff. So yeah, it was Ghost Lab. It ran for a couple years. I don't know what it's streaming. I think it's on Amazon, of course, but we did a couple years. We got to do Tombstone, Alcatraz, place up in St. Louis, Alton, Illinois, which is the Douglas Lincoln Douglas debates were held up there. I mean, it's a little
Right.
city outside of St. Louis. And what our show was, it was pretty much history. We talked about a lot of history, and we actually had professors on there. We were down at the plantation that just recently burned down, the Nottoway plantation, and it's right there on the Mississippi. And we did investigations of it, got some strange stuff, but a lot of that's the energy coming off the Mississippi. And we had a lot of science. We tried to do a little bit different than just a guy out there. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? We tried to get science behind it, and I've seen a bunch of stuff, and there's something to it. People will ask me, "Were you a skeptic?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty much a skeptic, but there's stuff I just can't explain." And I think being a skeptic is that you're not swayed one way or another. You can't say it does exist or you can't say it doesn't exist, but there's definitely, and if there is a God, which I believe there's a higher being, he's definitely got a sense of humor. Because we've got some stuff on video, we got some stuff on tape that I just can't explain. But yeah, check it out, the Ghost Lab. The brothers are still doing stuff. The Kling brothers, they still do events around. They're still doing stuff around town, and they have a annual event here with a bunch of Bigfoot callers. They got psychics, mediums. They got all that stuff, and I'm not a big believer in mediums and psychics, but like I said, and I think we've discussed it, that there's a lot of shit that it's just hard to explain. It's interesting. I'm not one person to discount anything. I just, I've liked the paranormal since I was a kid. I grew up with talk radio because Art Bell, he's a guy that talked about paranormal, Area 51,
Right.
ghosts and stuff like that. If you don't know who Art Bell is, and you're younger, I mean, check him out. I mean, he was great. A little crazy, a little kooky, but I mean, he was great.
Very crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, I've done some things in the past where I interviewed a lot of mediums and psychics, and I can tell you this: uh, I put them to the test when I talk to them because I'm skeptical too. There are some of them that I can't explain certain things, and they do, for all intents and purposes, feel like they're real. Um, but I think there's a lot of psychics and mediums out there that are just fucking phonies.
Oh yeah.
So, so you can't say if you run into a phony one that they're all phony. That's not necessarily the case. Just a question before we get to the politics part of this: was there ever a time when you were genuinely scared or terrified while you were on a ghost hunt?
The I was never scared on a ghost hunt. I was pushed before. We were doing a thing down in Victoria, Texas, which is a couple hours down from here. It's Victoria's where, if you know wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin's from. He's actually a real
Okay.
Texan. I got pushed. I'm a big St. Louis Cardinals fan of my time living in Missouri, and I had my Cardinals hat on backwards. I'm one of those. I think they call guys out to wear their hat backwards. I'm one of those because I had no hair, so I wear caps all the time. And I got pushed, literally pushed. And you know how when you're falling, you kind of brace yourself. I just was like on my face because it pushed me so hard. So I guess it may have been this disgruntled Cub fan from the beyond pushing me. But what really kind of scared me, and I don't know if scared me is a word, but it was before Ghost Lab. Excuse me. It was when I was living in Missouri with my dad. I lived in a little town called Mansfield, Missouri. That's where Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote the books. I actually went to Laura Ingalls Wilder Elementary. She is real, folks. She was a writer from the 1800s. But me and my dad were up on a hill, and my grandparents had a place. It had no air. This is back in the early 80s, no air conditioner, nothing. And when I was younger, me and my dad were pretty close. And I guess I grew out of my cuteness and we kind of drifted apart.
Yeah.
So we heard talking and we were looking like it was down the hill. We lived up on a hill and we heard talking and you could almost hear canteens and rifles moving, like it was almost Civil War
Wow.
soldiers talking about. And I never really, my dad was, macho man. He was never really scared. He didn't like to talk about that till the day he died.
Really?
And I think that place was pretty much haunted because my grandpa Warden, my great great grandfather was such a badass, evidently. Always got in fights and stuff, how guys were back then. Well, evidently there were a lot of noises in the stairs of that house. And a lot of stairs. I mean, that place was very haunted. But you got to the point to where you almost got used to it. But hearing those voices, and then, years later on the show, getting voices of like we got this one voice when we were in, New Orleans about Colonel, are you not afraid? I mean, it was literally like ghost talk from a previous time. And I think that's what a lot of the is like past energy voices, maybe not necessarily a ghost, but maybe, if we were, energy can't be created or destroyed, as they say. So that, energy goes somewhere, what we talk about, what we move and everything, it has to go somewhere. Or it could be a parallel universe, as they say. But yeah, though hearing voices and when you get them on tape and you hear something, and I mean, we've got them to where they've answered you. But to hear that conversation and to look at where those people should have been talking about the Civil War and finding arrowheads and them shooting off the cannons in Hartville, which is a city over there, because Missouri was a big Civil War
Yeah.
area. So I mean, it wouldn't doubt if there was bones there of I mean, how many soldiers died? I mean, we have a rough number of the Civil War, but we'll
Half
probably
a
never
million,
know the
something
truth.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've never really had a ghost experience myself, but there's one story that always gives me kind of a chill. My wife and I lived in a house that was built by her grandfather in 1938. Like her grandfather and grandmother divorced. Her grandmother remained there until she died. She didn't die in the house, she died in a hospital. But when she died, we bought the house, which was probably a mistake in retrospect, but we bought the house. And then shortly after that, we had our first son. And he's probably 18 months old, maybe 2 years old maximum. And my wife and he are sitting in the house, and they're going through a picture, an album, a picture album, right? And Cindy's saying, "Well, this is your cousin, and this is your uncle, and this is your dad's uncle." And then they came to a page with her grandmother's picture on it. It's a 2 year old kid. Come to a page with her grandmother on it. She died before he was born, but we are living in her house. And my 2 year old son points at that picture and says, "Oh, that's the lady that comes to visit me all the time." Now, you can claim it's bullshit or a hoax or something. No reason in the world for that 2 year old kid to fucking lie. No reason in the world.
No, and what you have kids also do is they remember these past lives. They have no, reason to do that.
Right.
They have this stuff where kids, they'll remember stuff, and they'll say, they'll look at a picture like that and say, hey, that was so and so, and they'll know these names. So, I mean, yeah, just to say it doesn't exist and, and to say, oh, whatever. I mean, I think you ought to, have an open mind when it comes to that stuff. And the greatest part of the ghost hunting thing was the history lessons you learn. I mean, you learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, you learn a lot of stuff. You learn a lot of history, and with a lot of the ghost hauntings and stuff, a lot of it like a tragedy happened there, a murder or something like that happened. So there's always something that that energy's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's to make sure we don't turn this into ghost talk. We probably could talk 2 hours on that, but I want to talk about Texas and the political situation as we are. And I want to explain something to you. And if somebody who's in Texas, maybe you can confirm what I'm saying or tell me I'm full of shit. We know that the Democratic legislators bolted from the Texas legislature to stop them from getting a quorum. And by stopping them from getting a quorum, they couldn't vote to gerrymander the state. Okay. So they take off, they go to Illinois, Massachusetts, California, and all that stuff. And of course, Greg Abbott and everybody's making all these threats. Now, as I understand it, this special session is over on Friday, tomorrow,
Yep.
as you're listening to this. I am told the report is that all those people are going to come back to Texas, where, of course, Greg Abbott will get another special session and they will end up past the gerrymandering bill. And they're saying, well, we think we proved our point. Well, no, they're still fucking gerrymandering the place. Now, on top of that, um, Gavin Newsom, a little annoyed about this, said, "Oh, Donald Trump is going to have a bad day because we got our Liberation Day going," meaning they'll probably try to gerrymander California. Is that how this is playing out, or am I just hearing stories?
I'm hearing both. I'm hearing that, Abbott's pretty much said that he's going to call a special session. He can do that as many times as he wants to. But
Right.
I've also seen people say that well, he only has till because the candidates got to get ready, I guess, for the election by the November something, I guess, to run.
November 8th, I think.
Yeah. So I think the Democrats always figured this I don't want to say it's a losing proposition, but they don't have the votes to stop this. And I've heard I think Aaron Parnes quoted ABC News saying they're on their way. Then he went back later and he said, well, no, they haven't exactly decided to do that. So I'm hearing now that they may not necessarily come back. So
I
I
hope
don't know
they
what,
don't.
yeah, I don't know what their game plan is, but I've heard both. I've heard that, well, Abbott was like, well, I'm the governor. I can do, as many meetings as I want to. And he can. I mean, he can. And,
But there is a short deadline here. They've got limited time when they can get this done and actually pull it off. So if they pushed it out to October, November, which sounds crazy. I mean, the bottom line is they do have to come back at some point. And Abbott is dumb because as soon as they come back, we're going to arrest them. Well, that's not an inducement to come back to fucking Texas. That's not going to make them say, "Oh, I'll come back." But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because they have to come back at some point.
I've been very hard on Beto and, move on from this stuff. But I actually got into it. I have a Facebook group if you want to join. Anybody who wants to join, it's called Dedicated Democrats, and it's like it's on Facebook. Look me up or whatever. You know how to find me. And this guy was just saying, "Well, it's time to move on from him. He just hasn't done anything lately for the Democrats," and that got me going. I was like, "Okay, I'm not his biggest fan sometimes because he's lost elections,
Right.
but." Our attorney general wanted to have him arrested.
Right.
So if Ken Paxton is wanting to throw you in jail, there's probably a pretty good reason. And it was evidently he was ordered by a judge to not fundraise for these Democrats because I guess his group is helping pay because there's like a $500 a day fine, I guess, if you're not in session.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not very good in math, Mike, but $500 a day is a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
And
It is a lot of money.
I don't know if George Soros is picking up the bill or not, but Beto evidently was. And so he wanted to throw him in jail because he was still fundraising. Well, I have more faith in Beto O'Rourke following the law than I do. It's funny to see Abbott and Paxton try I mean, it's like they want to use the law when the law agrees with them, but if they don't, like I think Abbott when the courts, ruled with Biden on the buoys, he still did it. But they
Yeah.
want to use them, and it's just like they're like Trump. A lot of these Republicans are following what Trump is doing. It's like, well, I'll follow the law when they're on my side, but I'm not going to when it doesn't. So I had to say, well, no, he's ready. He's willing to give up his freedom to fight for the Democrats. He's doing something. And it's really kind of hard to blame Beto for losing. It's like, well, he lost, winnable elections. Yeah, they were winnable, but if people would have shown up to vote, we've all seen the numbers. There's more registered Democrats in Texas than there are Republicans. It's not a red state, but Democrats don't vote.
Well, that's exactly, you can blame Beto all you want, but
Yeah.
it is because of the voters. The voters are there. They just didn't get off their ass uh, to vote for him. So I don't blame Beto. I mean, he's in a weird situation. He would probably be a great politician, but you happen to be in Texas, which happens to be already gerrymandered to the fucking hilt, and and there's a lot of bad, sketchy shit going on with the Republican Party. So I don't blame him for losing. I do think that once you've lost a couple of times, um, that maybe takes the shine off the doorknob, and maybe um, you have to take a look at somebody else, an alternative. And that's one thing we talk about with Kamala. It's one thing to run her again and know she'd be a good president, but just by virtue of her losing once, that takes a little edge off of it for a lot of people. I'm not saying that's right. It's just the way it is.
Well, it's weird because it wasn't always that way. I mean, Nixon
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
It's like now I mean, hell, Trump lost and he came back. I mean, hell, why can't she come back? And I think the biggest reason is because she's a woman and she's a woman of color.
I
And
agree.
I think, Biden had the biggest turnout ever. I don't care what Trump says. He won handily because
Yeah.
people laugh at me, and I still think Biden would have won if he would have ran. If George Clooney would have just stayed in Hollywood, Nancy Pelosi, fucked off. Sorry. Thank you for your service, but fuck off. You know, if he may have won, but they evidently Democrats and maybe independents had a problem with her because she was a woman and she's a woman of color. There's no other way to do it. I mean, how else did Trump win? Yeah, we can talk about, the swing states and how, there's definitely something there. But it's like you said with the gerrymandering. If people show up, it won't fucking matter. Yeah, they can
Yeah.
get maybe 11, like, Abbott's saying. I don't know where he's getting that at, just to compete with Newsom. But if they win by
Right.
40, 50, it won't fucking matter.
No, it doesn't really matter. I was just going to say too, Glenn Kirshner. who I really like. I think he talks straight. I think he knows his shit. He's a former deputy U.S. attorney. He was on Brian Tyler Cohen, and he was talking about the civil warrants that they have for these legislators, these Democratic legislators. And Kirshner described Paxton's legal filing as a Mickey Mouse civil warrant because of how the judge reacted to it. Um, the Judge Larson looked at this filing and said, first of all, I don't have subject matter jurisdiction over the civil warrant that was issued by the Texas House of Representatives. And then he went on to say in a 4-page ruling, by the way, even if I did have subject matter jurisdiction, then I think there may be a venue problem. He continued, I think there may be a problem on the underlying merits of this claim, and that's just for openers. So basically, um, the judge denied that shit. And this is what they do. They say anything, they do anything, hoping they can scare people. That's really I mean, they're smart enough to know that it was a stupid ass Mickey Mouse fucking thing. But this is what Republicans do. I'm going to threaten you and you better back down. But when they don't back down, then they got nowhere to go because they really have no substance to follow through with their threat.
Now, was this the Illinois judge or was this the Texas judge? Because
I
he
think it
got
was a
a
Texas. Yeah, I think it was a Texas judge.
because he also got one thrown out in Illinois saying they didn't have a jurisdiction in Illinois. There was also, I read something about that too that happened to
Yeah,
Paxton too. And then he was asking California, yeah, it's like, well, yeah, you can ask, but that mean you're going to fucking get it. And this just goes back to the Republicans not standing for anything. It's like this is like, what they're doing. And I don't know if Abbott and Paxton are ripping off Trump or Trump's ripping off them. But like in those legal cases in the feds too, this is kind of the same thing. They laugh at their arguments. They laugh like we can't do this. They're
yeah,
laughed out of court. I mean, some of these lawyers should be disbarred. It's like you went to law school, but did you fucking study at clown college first? I mean,
yeah.
it's ridiculous. And it's
But
it's what Trump is doing too.
like I say, the strategy for them isn't that they think they're going to win the case. They know better than that. It's just all this threat, double down, threat again, another threat, triple down, another threat until somebody gives up. Now, if we're talking about network entities like ABC and CBS, they fucking bend a knee and they cry and they give in. But when you're talking about blue states and governors and the judicial system, it's just silly for them to give in. It would be an embarrassment for them to give in. So I don't think they ever intended to win any of these cases. I think they just trying to make the threats so people freak out. And so the dumb fucks that follow them say, oh, that's right. We're going to be tough. We're going to arrest them. No, you're not, you stupid bitch.
Well, like I said, they did this a few years back. I think it was 2003 or 2004. They fled Texas over something. I can't remember what it was. And and it was like when Rick Perry, that's why they passed that bill about, the $500 a day. And it was like based on the attorney general. Well, Ken Paxton's been the attorney general for as long as I can remember. So it came from him. So there you go. But it's just typical Republican nonsense. I mean, it's like, knowing people that vote Republican, it's like when Trump was running against Kamala, they'd always ask her, what's her plan? And I hear Democrats saying that, well, she didn't really produce a plan. Bullshit, she didn't fucking produce a plan. She talked about the first time home buyers credit. She talked about, healthcare. I mean, Trump's like, we'll have in a couple weeks. We'll have in a couple weeks. And the
Yeah.
fucking press they still do that shit. When Trump says something, oh, we're going to get that in a couple weeks. They report on that. Well, he'll have that in a couple weeks. I mean, it fucking aggravates me is because Democrats, you had a caller, I don't know if it was Trucker T or yesterday on your TikTok live, I was listening to it, or one of the other guys, and he was saying, well, they didn't win by much, and they didn't.
No,
And Democrats need to quit acting like they did. Because you look at the Democratic Party now, and it's so fractured, and the only person I really see leading it is Newsom. Newsom and
you're
maybe
right.
the guy from Illinois. And it's
Pritzker,
like,
yeah.
well, and then you got people, well, I don't like Newsom. Well, I don't like some things about a lot of people I vote for. But he's the one fighting this bullshit that's going on. And he's the strongest one you got because he's the one that's going toe to toe with this bullshit. The same thing
Exactly.
that, Biden and Kamala did. But, that wasn't good enough for me to go and vote for her. Fuck you. Get off your ass and fucking do something about it and quit bitching. We got to fight this. You know, we got to fight. And I just get so sick of it to where it's like, oh, woe is me. The sky is falling. Trump has proven he is like the Keystone Cops. You
Right.
know what I mean? They're like a bunch of Laurel and Hardy's Three Stooges, and rest their souls for saying that about them, comparing them to Trump. But they're a bunch of clowns. And I see Newsom is fearless calling this out. Is he the second coming of, JFK Jr., JFK? I don't know. But he's doing something and we should support him. Well, I don't like this, I don't like that. Well, when you said I don't like this, I don't like that, that's why we're in this mess right now, is because you couldn't get off your ass and vote for Kamala. Pure and
That's exactly
simple.
That's exactly right. Some people are under the impression that I'm only going to vote for the person that gives me everything I want. And that's just not possible for everyone. That was the case with Kamala. You didn't
Yeah.
like some things about Kamala, so you vote for Donald Trump. Here's the way I look at it with Gavin Newsom. He may be not my first choice for president, but if he's running, I'm voting for that motherfucker because at least I know once we get him there, we've got a path to get to where I want to go. If you continue to vote for Republicans or Donald Trump, you'll never fucking get there. So you got to be a little patient. Nothing in politics goes quickly. Get what you can get the best possible situation you can that will lead you down the path to where you want to ultimately be. Be fucking patient. Don't be these immediate gratification pussies like the people who didn't vote for Kamala Harris. You didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Now look what you did. If you aren't embarrassed, you shouldn't even be allowed to vote because you're too stupid to fucking go into a voting booth.
And these people that call Joe Genocide Joe, how you
Yeah,
like him now?
yeah,
How you like him now? You even got fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene on your side. You know what I mean? She's even
yeah.
coming around saying, "Hey, there's a genocide going." I mean, fuck. She's like not the MAGA darling anymore.
No,
And it's like, what kind of fucking world do we live in? And those people have been very, very quiet. I just can't vote for Joe Biden because this, and then now those people are starving. I mean, he wants to wipe out that he wants to wipe out the existence. And he's got the
he,
guy to do it now because he doesn't have Biden's there telling him not to fucking do it.
he's talking
And
about taking over, annexing Gaza Strip, or at least a part of the Gaza Strip, and then sending Palestinians to Sudan.
yeah,
Is that what you fucking wanted?
Sudan's a
Because it
desert,
didn't sound like that's what you wanted.
isn't Sudan a desert?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I mean, and I think we're way beyond that. Oh, well, if you don't stand with Israel, you're anti-Semitic. Bullshit. You don't
bullshit.
have to freaking stand with Netanyahu to stand with Israel. That's what got us into this kind of mess, is that, we're playing with kid gloves, but they're not.
Right.
They don't give a shit. So now the Democrats are fighting back in Texas. It looks like they're going to have some few other states to do. Good. The Republicans don't like it when it's done to them. The
Right.
fuck your feelings crowd sure is going through a lot of shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, all this stuff. And it's just like, and I see people now, and I see these, and what gets me about it, and it's just that there's going to be people you're never going to reach because all the evidence is out there about him and Epstein. We've known it for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know people that support him that they just can't say that. And they go after Democrats, and when they bring up the kid thing, the can't say
Pedophilia.
without
Yeah.
being banned, that's going on. And these people are like, well, you just got TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. And it's like, you're normalizing this. This is something that, I guess you're okay with. If you still, I mean, it's like you said, if you voted for him in 2016, you're a dumbass and you made a mistake.
Yeah.
2020, you didn't learn anything. 2024, there's no excuse for that. And it's just, I get to the point where I know people that did that, and people are like, why do you associate with them? Because I work with them. I live in fucking Texas. It's
Right.
like what Ed probably puts up with or Eric puts up with in Iowa. Ed puts up with in Tennessee. I mean, it's we have to do this, and it's just, you just can't waste your breath on them.
You
You
know,
got to, there's enough shit to be pissed off about. You just can't waste your breath because you're never going to convince these people. If they're still supporting him now, no hope.
yeah. Well, it's funny. I live in a blue state. I don't have occasion to run into as many Trump-lefucks as other places like in Texas or in Tennessee. Um, but I would have no problem talking to them. Funny thing is, they seem to avoid me. They stay the fuck away from me because what they hate about somebody like me is that I employ some of the Republican tactics about getting in your face, talking over them, and just pushing them in a corner. They're used to liberals going, "Oh, you don't mean that. Fuck you. You're a dipshit." And every once in a while, one will come up to me, and they quickly run away. That's what they do. Oh, I gotta go. I gotta run. And I love doing that to them because they deserve to be put in their place. You know, one of the things that people maybe aren't recognizing is the sheer panic that Donald Trump is in right now because nothing is working. There was a story that came out from Michael Wolff, who is a Trump autobiographer, and he still has a lot of contacts in the White House. A lot of shit leaks out of the White House. People are it's like a fucking sieve in there because people are getting freaked out themselves. But apparently he's been running around saying, "I need something big. I need something big." And what he means by that is something big to distract
Yeah.
from the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Unfortunately, there is nothing big enough to distract from that. And now, at least at this point, one of the things he's doing is he's got this summit coming up tomorrow, as you're listening to this on Thursday, with Vladimir Putin. Now, this is going to be absolutely a shit show. Donald Trump knows it is. He's kind of souring on it now, but he's going to do it because it's big and he thinks it might distract from people. Problem is, it's going to make it worse for him. The reason they're going to this summit is because of a lie. Steve Witkoff, his special envoy to Russia, said that Vladimir Putin agreed to giving up some of his territory and taking some of the um, Ukrainian territory, and that was the deal. Well, Vladimir Putin quickly said, "That's bullshit. That's not true. That's not true. Zelensky's never going to give up any land. Vladimir Putin certainly isn't going to give away any land." So they really meeting about nothing. And Donald Trump, knowing that it's going to be a bullshit shit show, he comes out today, which is Wednesday. He comes out on Wednesday and he says, "Well, I tell you what, Vladimir Putin better come to this meeting planning for a ceasefire, or there is going to be serious consequences." And my question to that is like the serious consequences after your first 10-day deadline or your second 10-day deadline when nothing fucking happened. You didn't do jack shit, you cowardly motherfucker. And on top of that, Vladimir Putin, every time he talked to Donald Trump or Donald Trump said something, he went and bombed the piss out of Ukraine, basically rubbing Donald Trump's nose in it. They're going to meet. Donald Trump said 5 times today, "We're going to meet in Russia." No, dumb bitch, you're meeting in Alaska. And Vladimir Putin comes out and says, "Well, maybe Alaska is still ours. It was in the first place." Vladimir Putin's just going to fuck with this guy. He's going to embarrass him, and Donald Trump may try to keep secret what's going on in that meeting. I'll guarantee you, Vladimir Putin, whether he makes it up or not, he's going to embarrass Donald Trump when it's all over. And Donald Trump is just going to be fit for to be tied. Ain't shit he can do about it.
I don't know if they have Taco Bell in Russia or, maybe Alaska, but wouldn't it be fucking Putin walks in with a bunch of fucking tacos because he knows it, and Trump may be so goddamn desperate, he may be considering giving Alaska back to fucking giving back to Russia, like, hey man, I'll give you Alaska if you fucking, sign on for this peace deal. I mean, because there was
So,
talk a few years ago that Putin was interested in Russia, and they wouldn't put it past him if he puts that on the table. I mean, I don't know if he can do it or not.
well, here's the interesting thing about that. First of all, it's a red state. You want Alaska back? Go ahead, take the fucker. Bye. Uh, there's like 12 people in the whole fucking state. And if you're in Alaska, don't get pissed off. I'm being sarcastic. Um, but where are they meeting? They're meeting in a location that's specifically a defense center for Russia. So you're going to take the leader of Russia into a center that's specifically made to be a defense against Russia. Why don't you give him the fucking blueprints on that motherfucker too?
Let him make dinner because he's he's done so good with poisoning people,
Yeah,
I mean, what the fuck, man? I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's he doesn't care. I mean, Trump's all about self-preservation, and that's exactly like you said. He needs something big. Nothing big is going to happen. It's going to be a big joke, is what's going to happen. Is Zelensky not even going now? Did he not get
no,
invited or?
no, he's not going. And this is what Donald Trump said. They asked him, "Is he going?" Well, he's not going, but he's been in office. He's been in a lot of meetings for 3 years, so he should have done something by now. Here's the deal: Zelensky has said very clearly, there is no peace deal unless I'm at the table. And Vladimir Putin doesn't want Zelensky at the table because, frankly, Zelensky is smarter than Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin's smarter than Donald Trump, but Vladimir Putin is mentally fucking diminished himself. He's into this being a demagogue or a dictator and that sort of thing. He's not used to people talking back to him. In fact, I don't know if you heard this story. There's a lot of people in Europe and all around the world that are pissed off that Donald Trump is going to do this. And there was kind of a conference call between all these leaders and Donald Trump, and they just tore into Donald Trump. They tore into him, which he can't stand. But everybody was talking shit against him, including Macron from France. And Donald Trump walked out of there and go, I didn't like that. I didn't like that a bit. I bet you didn't, motherfucker, because you were made to look stupid.
Is he going to sue them like he's going to sue Powell? I
Well,
mean,
maybe he's going to send the National Guard into Paris. That would be a
yeah.
good idea.
Oh, and I wanted to talk to you about that too. How fucking stupid is Candace Owen? She's
Yeah.
sitting there calling the First Lady of France a man and double down on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I'm sure they have unlimited funds that they can do that shit to sue her. I don't know what she's done. I mean, she's so kooky that I think her and Marjorie Taylor Greene may start the party with Elon because they're so fucking crazy. But to get back to the Russia stuff, there's a perfect way to end this whole conflict is tell Russia to get out of fucking my country, aka Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's how you do this shit. But you're right. Even up till like recently, I think that they had broken in. I mean, Russia's still going. Russia, they ain't looking at peace. And
Oh,
Ukraine may ultimately lose this war. But it's not going to be from lack of not trying with them fighting against this shit. Yeah, we like JD Vance, well, we're not going to do this. But Europe's invested in it. And it's just another example of us turning our back on a fucking, another ally.
yeah.
And what gets me about this is, talk about something big happening, and 2 months ago we were at war, about to go to war with Iran. You don't fucking think they're back there trying fucking licking their wounds to do something? How long did it take them to do 9/11? How long did they plan that?
Yeah.
We get hit by something, God forbid. We're not going to have those fucking people, our allies, helping us out anymore. You
No.
know, like I said, we're talking about Canada, we're talking about Mexico, yeah, Mexico sends their, people up here to help us during our fucking floods and we spit in their fucking face. That's exactly what
Right.
Abbott did. So, and those people, I mean, because what Trump's doing is he's meeting with Putin, he's normalizing this shit,
Yeah,
giving
absolutely.
Putin a voice to where before people were freezing him out and they were starving, they were the sanctions were working and all that shit with Biden and even Obama. But he's about himself. I mean, he could give two fucks about you or me or his voters.
Right.
Him taking all those classified documents was proof of that. It was about him. We ain't no telling how much shit they got on us now with those files.
Well, and, the thing about it is that Vladimir Putin is just playing with Donald Trump. But a lot of people have said since day one, well, Ukraine may not win this one. But it's been 3 fucking years. They're
True.
still doing pretty good. We know that Russia is having all kinds of problems financially and with the people of that country. They're in a kind of a state of flux, and Ukraine's got all of Europe behind them. I wouldn't bet against Ukraine at this point. Yes, Russia's bigger and they have nuclear weapons. We don't know to what extent they have nuclear weapons because you got to maintain those fucking things, and they notoriously don't maintain things. We thought they had the strongest army in the world, and then we found out they got broken down tanks and broken down fucking soldiers that are getting killed by the hundreds of thousands. What we thought of Russia is probably not what it is. I wouldn't bet against Ukraine here, and if Europe gets behind them, Russia's going to have a tough time. They're not. It's not an easy win. It's not a 3 day win like they talked about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right about that. I mean, in all likelihood, Russia should have won already, but never underestimate the heart of a somebody, a guy that's fighting, you know what I mean, to save his,
Yeah, the
the countrymen to save that. And, and, Trump's too stupid to see that. I mean, the Republicans look at and Lindsey Graham before, when he had a conscience, thought it was important to do that. But, Trump comes along and it's not important to fund Ukraine anymore. They haven't talked about this at all.
yeah,
But, it doesn't, and Trump's, and a lot of them were like, well, we're over here. It doesn't affect us. Bullshit. Bullshit. It doesn't affect us. I mean, they let Ukraine fall. I mean, what, Poland, all these other
yeah,
countries are next. I mean, yeah, Hitler didn't do it. Hitler and Japan didn't make it happen, but I mean, history always repeats itself. And somebody could be crazy enough to do it one day, and good thing that Europe's doing that. But I don't know. I don't understand. I just don't understand. I mean, we have so much shit going on over here that how we can just, I mean, we pissed off our allies. I mean, the tariffs are going on. I mean, and they haven't hit yet, and you have the Bill Maher's out there. Well, it's not so bad. Well, yeah, it hadn't hit yet because, supposedly I guess our deal with China fell apart because we're back to 90 days. I
yeah.
heard, a
Chicken
couple
shit.
weeks ago, and it's like the fucking inflation and it's like the fucking gas stuff. I mean, there's so much shit going on that, I mean, shit's causing because of his incompetence that he's not even trying to do. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
it's
has no
like, yeah,
clue.
people are still talking about the Epstein stuff, but people are also talking about gas.
Yeah,
And it's like, well, kind of growing up in the kind of the Christian nationalist I grew up in, I was always told not to trust my eyes. That like, well, you see this, these other kids over here are having fun because they're listening to music and going to movies. That's not fun. Sitting here praying for 4 hours is fun.
right.
Well, I
Yeah,
fucking never
exactly.
fell for that shit. So, I ain't gonna fall for this fucking gas is 1.99 when I see it's close to $4.
When you mentioned Lindsey Graham and all the other people, Scott Bessent, some of the senators, Republican House members, they know what Donald Trump is doing is
Yeah.
wrong, but they still follow. I saw a quote today from Desmond Tutu, the late Desmond Tutu, and this pretty much says it all. He says, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is when Donald Trump goes down and you chose to do nothing or try to be neutral in this situation, this shit is going to be stuck on you after the fact. It's the stink of Donald Trump and the MAGA and the Republicans is going to hang with you forever. And that's why when I look at Marco Rubio or some of these younger politicians or some of these younger entertainers that decide to be neutral with Donald Trump when it's absolute injustice, Do they not realize that after Donald Trump is long dead and gone, they are going to have to answer that for the rest of their lives? I don't think they get it.
It's given me I've seen something also too on the Democratic side. Will, who you have on quite a bit. I remember after the election, he was pretty defeated, like a lot of us were. He was
Yeah.
the wind was out of his sails. And I've seen something, I didn't know if this is possible, but he seems to got a little bit more of a fire in his step. He's pissed. He wants to
Well,
fight. You know what I mean?
this,
He's not cowering. I never say he was ever cowering, but I'm seeing a thing in him and I'm seeing a thing in other Democrats and independents maybe too, they're not necessarily Republicans, is that there's that fight and there's more talk about, well, they're going to be breaking the law. They're going to be ripping off this mom and pop, but there are going to be consequences for this shit.
right.
And I hear Democrats, I hear like talking on this is going to be happening. We know it's going to be happening because they know, the Republicans know. That's why this gerrymandering bullshit's going on. They aren't going to be in power that long. And the Republicans may keep the Senate. I don't know. I think it's anybody's guess right now.
Yeah, I do
If they
too.
get the House, that's going to fuck shit up because what they need to do is they need to hold Comer responsible because he's talking about jailing Bill Clinton for Epstein,
Yeah.
which is a fucking joke if you're not
Yeah.
talking about Trump.
Yeah.
You know what
Exactly.
I mean? And yeah, if Bill Clinton was on there, he did that, jail him. I don't care. I don't have a Clinton flag flying. Yeah, I voted for him. You know what I mean? But they're talking about everybody but Trump. And we were talking about how, Bryan's a real conservative town here, and they're going to be putting her out there, maybe a work release. I don't know if that's true or not. Has it ever been confirmed that she's going to get work release, or is it just another rumor?
Well, I think somebody of note that is respectable, I guess, is the one that said it. I don't know if any official thing has been put out about it. I just want to say something about Will and everybody else. When Donald Trump was elected, the greatest fear that people have is the unknown or the
Yes,
uncertainty. And they imagined all the things that could happen if Donald Trump was president. So you're nervous, you're scared at that point.
rightfully so.
We're, we're in a much different situation. The shit has happened. The uncertainty has come true. Not a time to be scared or cowering or worrying about the future. We're we have a choice right now. We fight or we just hide under the bed. And I think a lot of people are coming to that point. Our greatest fears have been realized. We're going to fucking start kicking people's asses. And I think, Donald Trump doesn't realize that by doing the things he's done as quickly as he has probably done more harm to his future. I mean, if he would have been smart and just do little things here and there where people wouldn't get so jacked up about it, he probably could have got a lot more done. But he chose not to do that because he's an impatient fucking child. And now that he's brought this shitstorm on, people aren't afraid anymore because it's already here. It's not uncertain. So now they're just pissed. And I think that's where Will is and a lot of people are at this point, thankfully. I mean, I think that's the right response to this.
Well, I was like that too, because I remember after it happened, it was like, do I go on anymore? And because you kind of, you don't know what to expect. And I've seen that in Will, and I think it's inspired, me. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. You know what I mean? What are they gonna do? You know what I mean? Or you got to. You get scared kind of at first, and you get pissed off, and you fight, and
Yeah.
that's what happens. And it's not like, I mean, we knew this could happen. Did we expect it? I think in the back of our minds, maybe, but we're here now. We're doing this now, and we're seeing, and yeah, they've done a lot of damage in these first 7 months,
Yeah.
but there's going to be a reckoning someday, and I see people doing it because you don't hear that much about, oh, they're going to they're going to cancel the elections. There's more of us, and it's harder to steal the midterms than it is to steal the presidential election, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they get people up there, but when we elect Democrats or even an independent, we need to make sure that they're going to do their job or we're going to have to vote them out. We need to get younger. We need to get people with more progressive minds because you got something in there with that Project 2025 is just pure evil. And a lot of this shit is just, it's like I said, Trump doesn't care. I mean, he would, he claims to love his daughter or his kids, but he would sell Ivanka for a freaking, what, three beans to get Jack and the Beanstalk going. He don't give a
Right.
fuck about anybody but himself.
Well, at this point, I've had, like all of us, we've had periods of times when nothing's going right. You seem like you can't get out of the hole. And I coined a phrase when I was at that point because I really didn't know what to do. I said, when you've got nothing to lose, you can afford to be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, just do whatever. And that's kind of where we are in this country right now. We got nothing to lose. People will say, well, we can't gerrymander states because two wrongs don't make a right, and that will hurt democracy. Fuck that. We're dealing with opposition that has to be handled a certain way. For 10 years, you've tried to take the high road for 10 years. And I've been talking about this for the last 5 years. You take the high road and you try to do the right thing, but it hasn't worked. I got another rule in my life. If you do something over and over again and it doesn't work, do something fucking different. And if you got nothing to lose, you can be afford to be fucking crazy. And that's where we should be with democracy and the Democrats in this country. Fuck the rules. We now know the rules don't exist. We know the
What
laws don't exist because nobody's enforcing them. So let's take advantage of that situation.
what's the definition of insanity? Trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a
Right.
different result. I
Exactly.
mean, we got to. I mean, yeah, we got to. I think if more people, I don't know, more people, I mean, the most important thing is for people to vote. People don't turn out. We got what we did, in November. But we both know that, the party in power usually loses, in the midterms in their first, run like that. And if there's been anybody that's done more to lose in the first term, it's this, administration, that's being kind, calling administration. It's a fucking circus, dude. It's like what the
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys are. Donald Trump is just like Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones came out today and he let the quiet part out loud. He goes, it's a 24-hour soap opera. And when it's not, I stir shit up. And that's exactly what Trump does. And that's exactly
Yeah.
why he'll fail. And that's exactly why the Cowboys have failed the last 30 fucking years.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. When you've got a madman running the show, it can't help but get fucked up.
Yeah.
And this is the thing with Donald Trump. Everything he tries, he's got the military in Washington D.C. And people say, why is he doing it in Washington D.C.? Because that is the only national guard he has any power over. He might be able to take power from some blue states and stuff, but he's going to have to run into a governor like Newsom or like Walz or like Pritzker. It's very easy for him to do this in Washington, D.C. because the Pentagon oversees the National Guard. Now he's got people running around the street. It's one thing to have them on the street doing nothing, which is what it sounds like it's doing. But when they start picking up homeless people and putting them in detention centers and claiming people are criminals who are not and doing whatever they're doing with them or finding people without the proper, well, it doesn't matter if you have the proper papers, immigration, if you're brown, you're gone. Um, that's not going to end well for him. He's looking at two things on this. He's looking at uh, trying to make himself look tough because that's important to Donald Trump. He's trying to distract away from Jeffrey Epstein, and that's not going to work. These Republicans aren't going to let go of that. They're not
No.
going to let go of it. And the more he does this, the more he looks guilty, and they start questioning him. He's breaking apart his own base by doing this. He's too worried about, I want to prove that I'm not tied to Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's not the issue. The issue is the files because they think the Democrats are in it. Prior to the election, nobody was thinking on the Republican side, weren't even talking about Donald Trump being involved. So if Donald Trump found a way to extricate himself from it, they still want to see the fucking files. This is where Donald Trump is fucking up here. Because even if he gets something out of Ghislaine Maxwell, which I don't think he will, personally, I don't know about by for me, sending her to an easier prison gave them the opportunity to give the work release program. I mean, who's going to hire the stupid bitch? She's the most vile woman in the history of this country. Um, but with more freedom and her on the street, she is a liability. She is a risk until her mouth is shut permanently. And I hate to say that, but we saw what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. If I was Ghislaine Maxwell, I wouldn't get too excited about my new freedom because there's a lot of wealthy, powerful motherfuckers over and above Donald Trump that don't want to see her ever talking and sending her to Morocco where she can't be extradited or wherever she would go. If I'm her and I nobody can touch me, I'm writing a book and exposing everybody and making some money because she's got no other way to make money. They want to shut her up, and I'm concerned that this is the next step to doing that to her. I'm not concerned if they did it. Who cares? There's still the evidence.
Well, the same party that, always told me that Hillary killed Vince Foster. And I remember when Epstein died, and I freaking pointed out, like, well, who's president?
Yeah,
Everybody but Bill O'Reilly said it was Trump. So, because Merrick Garland arrested him, according to Bill O'Reilly. But yeah, and you've seen those ads on when you're searching for the internet about, there's sex what sex offenders in your area, download this app to find them. I mean, how many when she's fucking in Bryan, Texas, one of the biggest conservative bastions in Texas, those people are going to lose their shit.
yeah,
I mean, they're so holy roly, and being a Texas Longhorn fan, that's where A&M's at. So, they wouldn't bring her down here to Austin or San Antonio. So maybe they think they can get away with Brian, but I don't think that they're going to be too happy, especially if the media starts covering it. Or is the media going to just, no big deal, like going on, like they do now? I think if they release her, I mean, you remember, it was a few years ago, didn't they release John Hinckley Jr.? The guy
yeah,
shot a fucking president. And you can have your feelings about Reagan, but he was still a fucking president. And he
yeah.
tried to assassinate him for Jodie Foster, evidently. And they released him. And I'm like, and I'm not the biggest Reagan fan. And I'm like, yo, he's gone, but there's something wrong with that. Why? So
Yeah.
if they release her, and there was a lot of stink about him, it's just, I think it's going to be. I text you the other day about it, about how I think this is the biggest fucking mistake he does, and I hope he does it.
I do
He may
too.
not give her a pardon, but if he gives her a work release, and I hope the Democrats run with this, I hope Gavin Newsom runs with this, I hope the press covers it, because this is just. If I was Trump, I would want nothing to do with her. Lock her away. Talk to your buddy Putin. Put her in fucking Siberia.
But like I was saying in another podcast, the problem he has and everybody has with Ghislaine Maxwell, it's like having that crazy ex. They know a lot about you.
Mhm.
You don't want to piss them off because
Nope.
they made you start spouting stuff because they're fucking crazy. And she's clearly crazy. So that's why I'm saying she's as much a danger to a lot of people as Jeffrey Epstein was. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. She starts talking, there's a lot of rich, powerful motherfuckers that are going to be in trouble. And if they let her get out of the country someplace where she can't be touched, or at least for a period of time, she's probably going to expose the motherfuckers. Why not? What do you got to lose? You want to
Yeah.
make some money. You don't think some of these media outlets would meet her in some clandestine place, say, just tell us and we'll give you $1 million? Fucking course she's going to do that work release. Who's going to hire the bitch in Bryan, Texas?
Or or they got something, or she's kind of like what have you ever seen the movie Shawshank Redemption, where
Yeah.
he go at the end of the movie where Tim Robbins, sorry, it's a spoiler alert, it's only been 30 fucking years. one of the greatest movies ever, where he goes and he exposes the what's going on at the prison. And if Jeffrey
Right.
Epstein and her are smart, which I don't think they were stupid, you can say a lot of stuff about them, but they made a lot of money. I don't know if it was legally, they were horrible people, but you can be a horrible person and be brilliant. But who knows if there's not, something happens to one of them. Well, like, these things get released of one or both of them. Some of these get released, sends off to the Washington Post, sends off to the New York Times, hell, sends off to the New York Post, because, Rupert Murdoch, who knows if they don't do that shit. And maybe that's what kind of got Trump kind of spooked, is that why he had to send his lawyer over there. I mean, can you imagine Biden sending his lawyer to go talk? I mean, freaking the Republicans would be all over this shit,
Yeah.
but they have no spine and they're just okay with it, his own personal lawyer. And it's like when we always heard about, about all these secret meetings. I remember when who was the attorney general when she was meeting with Bill Clinton, I guess, during Obama's term when Hillary was running. The Republicans, because I remember I was still watching, paying attention. They lost their shit about that. Was it Nancy Rice or it was
Yeah.
somebody
Something like, yeah.
he
Yeah.
met on an airplane or something, and they lost their fucking shit. But what have we seen with Trump? He went into a room secretly during his first term with Putin. The press wasn't involved. He met with this. Now he sends his lawyer to go meet, Jeffrey's Epstein's, assistant and probably right hand, and just there,
Yeah.
and they're quiet about it. And and it's like you say you're just surprised that it's gotten this far without them saying nothing. Vote as a former voter Republican, and I know I said I wasn't going to say that anymore. It doesn't surprise me. Trump's their last ditch power. Because I think Eric said it like if they gerrymandered and got in there and gerrymandered it right, Republicans wouldn't win office again in a generation or two. And he's right. Because there were talks here when Obama was president, the Republican Party was dead. Trump was
Yeah.
that lifeline that they sold their soul to. I don't know if you've ever heard that old story about the Crossroads, about Robert Johnson, the
Yeah.
guitar player, the old blues player, how there's a new movie on HBO Max called Sinners, which is a vampire movie, which is freaking great.
I tell you
And
what, I saw the movie. I like the movie. The vampire aspect of it,
uh,
that's not my thing, but I like the movie.
yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Well, it kind of takes that into it about how Robert Johnson had no idea how to play guitar, but he came back and he just blew people away. He sold his soul to the devil. That's what the Republicans did in 96. They were at the crossroads. And I think calling Trump Satan is a detriment to Satan.
Yeah.
And they made a deal with that, and they're in bed with this guy now until the very end. And I know you and Eric has said that they may get to the point to impeaching. I don't see the Republicans impeaching Trump. I just don't ever. I've been on the fence about it. I don't see I don't see them turning on him until it's too late. And it's going to be up to
Yeah.
the voters to save us, not the Republicans. Because if you're
Well,
batting on the Republicans, take it from a guy who had experience with it, they ain't going to do the right thing.
that's part of what I said where I was wrong. And I said Eric was wrong too. When Donald Trump got elected, we said, yeah, there's a lot of bad things that could happen, but there's guardrails and there's
Yeah,
Republicans that
exactly.
would never let it get this far. Fucking wrong. Absolutely wrong. Um, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm wrong frequently. Just ask my wife. But, um, but, but yeah, you're right. And to be perfectly honest with you, if the midterms go the way we think they're going to go, they got about a year and a half to get that impeachment done if they're going to do anything.
Happen. Yeah.
He will get impeached if the Democrats get the House. Whether
Oh
the
yeah.
Senate will convict him or not, I don't know, but he will be thrice impeached.
Yeah. He'll definitely be impeached by the Democrats, but it's going to be up to the voters to make that happen. I mean, are the voters going to have enough? Are they going to show up like we also believe they'd show up for Kamala, and we were wrong about that. And a lot of people want to throw the blame at Biden for this. Biden got more judges than any other president in
Yeah.
history there. So Biden did more than his part, if you ask me. Biden
Absolutely.
made the, I mean, but I think the government's strong enough to survive this. It's going to be very weak, but the government is a running machine. And I think if anything, this will make people appreciate the government. I'm not saying everything they do is right, but it may have you appreciate the government. You sure appreciate that check when it shows up every time for Social Security in
Right.
Medicare and Medicaid or whatever it is. You know, when it's paid that hospital bill, you sure appreciate that. And that's been damaged. And
Yeah.
that's been damaged by a lot of people who voted against their own interest. It's like women here in Texas. They vote against their own interest. I mean, Roe versus Wade started here to get rid of it. And they done it. There been women that had to leave the state that are tracked because their menstrual cycle. And Greg Abbott Ken Paxton, when he's not trying to throw Beto in jail, he wants to throw women in jail.
Right.
Doctors that treat them in other states. I mean, this is just something that if they succeed, I mean, if they succeed and voters don't show up, I mean, it's just going to get worse. And we all have ourselves to blame because I see people all the time, and I'll say this about in November, America fucked up.
Oh, no
America
question.
fucked up. It's like you choose, it's like you have a clown versus a doctor. Yeah, that clown may get a couple cuts right, but they're going to fuck up most of it. That doctor's
Yeah.
been trained. Are they going to make mistakes? Yes. But they're going to learn from those mistakes and they're going to get better. Kamala was a doctor. She was the most qualified since Hillary, if you ask me, to do
Yeah.
that.
And even more qualified than Hillary,
But
probably.
there's such a freaking hate for uh, for what they call and Kamala was establishment. They looked at her as establishment.
Right.
Biden was establishment, but Trump was such a joke. But people forgot. People have no attention span. And that's what Trump counts on. He counts on people being distracted. I got the worst ADD in the world, but I know the Epstein files are there.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to fucking pay attention and you have to fucking show up and you have to fucking vote. And my thing is, if you're a woman, if you're a minority, don't listen to your husband or your significant other. Vote for your own special interest because I believe we wouldn't be in this situation if people voted for their own special interest. Hey, I'm a woman. I need my reproductive rights. Hey, you got people like Old Soul out there doing more for you than you're doing for yourself by voting for Trump.
Right.
She's out there trying to save people from this stuff and getting locked up just for going to a fucking gas station. I mean, come on, America, we're better than this.
Yeah. I've often said that we have an epidemic of stupid in this country. And I think you're right that people have a short attention span. Now, when Joe Biden won in 2020, I think he won by that much because people were terrified of what Donald Trump had just done the previous 4 years. And even in 2022, people remembered what Donald Trump did
Yep.
and they voted against him. And that's why we did well in the midterms. But by 2024, apparently all these dumb fucks forgot. They hadn't remembered the negative things, the bad things that happened. So they vote for Donald Trump. I think in the next midterms, we're going to be in that situation again. They will have experienced 2 years of Donald Trump and they are going to be terrified. So I suspect that we will get a big turnout in the midterms, at least big for the midterms. Hopefully, people remember they're living it as they're going out to vote, and hopefully, Democrats will respond in kind. At this point, it's even if you don't like the Democrats, you got to vote for the lesser of two evils if that's how you look at it, because it's either throwing the country away or at least trying to get us back on track to some normality in this country.
Well, the thing about it too is that y'all were talking yesterday about the soybeans. We're right back where we started and the Trump's,
Yeah,
I mean, the soybeans, people are losing their because China's the only one buying them or whatever. I mean, it's like I saw a thing too about she's getting a lot of flack because she sang at Trump's inaugural as Carrie Underwood. I
yeah,
guess she and her husband have a place was it Indiana or Tennessee somewhere, and they can't keep it going because they don't have anybody to work it because people are getting arrested, legal or illegal, as they call them.
Right.
I mean, it's like, and then it's like, well, oh, cry me a fucking river. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like you supported this stuff. You sang it as inaugural. You know what I mean? And they're having all these, now the horse has left the fucking barn. I don't know if that barn's going to come back. I mean,
Right.
we talked about it
Exactly.
down here, how the Mexican nationals don't come up to visit this state. That's a lot of money for Texas economy, and not having it. And I think there was somebody they were talking to about, you had somebody on yesterday, your TikTok live was talking about, and this just floored me, and I don't know why. I mean, I think I get more disappointed in myself when I get surprised, but how those people were trying to get a citizenship,
Yeah.
and they have it on there to where you can be arrested while, putting your address on there. You're trying to do the fucking right thing, and they still don't want you fucking here.
Right.
If you don't fit their criteria, being white or whatever, but you had somebody on there at the tail end of it that was saying that they're trying to get their citizenship, but they were turned down and they were white or British or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, British John was on, and he was going to find out whether his citizenship was approved today. Meaning Wednesday, and I haven't heard. While we're doing this, I'm going to uh, text TJ because I know he was contacting um, British
But they
John.
wouldn't let, they didn't want certain white people in here, or is that what I heard?
Well, it's like anybody, you know. He said there were three white people. Uh, I don't know where they were from, but three white people, two were pushed back for further study, and one was denied. And
Further study.
yeah, it's
Well,
just
it's like down here, it's like I always heard that the people like Hispanic friends voting for Trump is like, well, yeah, well, they're going to get rid of the people that aren't here legally. And I told them, no, it ain't about that. They want to stop legal immigration.
yeah.
Nosferatu, Stephen Miller, he is like, I found out this week though that he only likes mayonnaise. And knowing that
I
fucker, he
saw that.
probably likes Miracle Whip, which is the
Yeah,
worst.
probably. Yeah.
And but it's like they want to stop legal citizenship because they want that white race, those people, because their race, I say their race, our race, the white race is dying out. There's more interracial marriages and more mixed marriages. And it's like they want to stop legal immigration. You know what I mean? I mean, but it's not just about that. And a lot of it's about just the cruelty of it. Just a lot, I believe a lot of this stuff, the aid stopped a lot of that stuff. Not, Greg Abbott not taking the food. I mean, he wouldn't take it from Biden, and he's not taking it from Trump either. I mean, that's just cruelty. I mean, there's a lot of people that a lot of times their kids, the only meals they eat are at school. So
Well,
I
and
do
a
public
lot of
education,
red
that
states,
shit. Yeah.
a lot of red states do that. I know Ed has talked about Tennessee, how they get certain money for kids and that stuff, and they just never spend it.
Oh,
They never use it. I can't imagine what the rationale is behind that. Again, it's cruelty. I think a lot of what the Republicans do, I think everything the Republicans do is performative, show you how tough we are and how tough on waste and stuff like that. But nobody wastes more money than Republicans. $7 trillion added to the debt when Donald Trump was in office the first time. They're looking at 3 to 5 or maybe $6 trillion this time. That doesn't sound very conservative or fiscally responsible to me.
that's why I laugh at those budget hawks, the Freedom Caucus in the the House. They voted along with that shit that added all that money to it. It's never about the money. All the way back to Boehner when they gave him shit about that. It was all a lie. Speaking of the Freedom Caucus, I don't know if you've heard this. It's kind of gone under the radar, but supposedly my buddy, fellow bald, beard-wearing Chip Roy, may be throwing his hat into the Texas agriculture, Texas AG race.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's been the rumor. but I don't trust anything they say because they say they're going to vote against, it's funny when Biden was in there, all we heard about is a deficit, 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 Obama, deficit, deficit. Trump, they go along with it. And
Yeah.
I think they have lost so much credibility. I think, Rick Wilson did say everything Trump touches dies, and I think he touched the Freedom Caucus. I mean, there is no way they can take them. I think Republicans used to, other moderate Republicans, was there such a thing, used to fear that, but I think they've been exposed. I think that's the one good thing Trump did about this big, beautiful bill is he exposed the Freedom Caucus for who they are.
So
So
in
supposedly he's going to
Texas,
run for Texas AG.
now Ken Paxton, they're saying, is trying to run for the Senate, right? Has that been decided?
Yes,
Is that what he's
he's
doing?
trying to go after Cornyn's seat.
So then he will be out as the AG at some point.
Well, yeah, I don't think you can run for both, but it's Texas. You never fucking know.
Yeah,
It's like Jasmine Crockett. I mean, if they get her district gone, her district's gone. So,
right.
and there was a poll saying that she would beat any Republican running. I mean, I don't know how good that poll is, but I mean, I think you're going to have a lot of people that are pissed off at the Republicans because I don't think the Republican voter wants these gerrymandering stuff because I think the people that are smart voters and why they still vote Republican, I don't know, but they see that they're not always going to be in power. There's going to come a time when the Democrats will take over, and
Right.
you may get a Democrat party that's just as crazy as MAGA, and they may just, fucking do all this stuff. I mean, I think some Republican voters see that, and I think what the Republicans are doing, it may cause a lot of those voters to not vote. And I'm thinking if Jasmine Crockett does run, if Jasmine Crockett ran against a Chip Roy, I think she'd win. That's just my that's just my gut feeling. But then again, I thought Kamala would win. So what I fuck I know.
But see
It's
that
like it's
that's
Texas, so
that's that's the stupidest thing here. So they gerrymander out her district and they go, "Oh, we won." But now you forced her into running for the Senate, a very popular Democrat. Um, and she's very out loud and
yeah.
outgoing. And put her in a debate with either Cornyn or Paxton, and
Or
she
Chip
will
Roy.
fucking just, or Chip Roy. Well, Chip Roy is running for the AG, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, 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 right. That's right.
So it would be Cornyn or Paxton. She will fucking destroy them. It's still Texas, so um, who knows what will happen? But they give her no choice. They take away her district. She's got to run for the Senate because to have her out of Congress would be horrible for this for the Democrats.
Yeah, they may have just, and I think we were talking about I think we both agreed that, the Republicans aren't very popular, but the Democrats are even less popular. I think the Democrats are less popular is because they're not fighting. They don't fight like an AOC. They don't fight like a Jasmine Crockett.
Right.
Even a Gavin Newsom. Yeah, a lot of people may have a problem with Gavin Newsom, but they'll vote for him.
Yeah.
Look at AOC. I think she should primary fucking Schumer. Yeah, we may
Absolutely.
lose that seat, but if they gerrymander New York like they're talking, it ain't gonna fucking matter
Right.
because I think it was like 14-3, I guess New York would be. I don't think they realize, yeah, they'll have more seats and I think Texas should have more seats anyway, but I don't think they should be gerrymandered, you know, because what they had as well is that when I saw one of the maps where they're doing like Austin's pretty blue. But what they did is they stretched it out like 300 miles to where it's all this rural red stuff. So it's like that's what they're doing. They've done so much to where it's like it almost doesn't make sense. And like we said, if people show up, gerrymandering won't matter. But I hope, and it would be great. You talk about if the Republicans or the Democrats won the House and the Senate. Man, you talk about a fucking 2 years of if that happened, I think Trump may step down.
It'd be smart.
Maybe then the Republicans turn on him, pull the 25th Amendment. Because I've seen something with JD Vance I didn't see with Pence. He's talking a lot. and he's
Yeah.
contradicting Trump. So he's preparing to take over for Trump, and I think Trump knows it because that's why he picked, Marco Rubio over him. I think Trump sees it, but I don't think Trump sees it enough. I mean, he's so busy trying to distract us. I don't think he's seeing what's right in front of him.
Probably
Yeah.
not. Although narcissists tend to be paranoid,
Yeah.
which Donald Trump is paranoid. We hear about the backroom talks and how he's freaking out and fuck.
Yeah.
If he's not paranoid of JD Vance,
He better be.
he's being an idiot. He's being a fool. I just want to say one thing off topic, and then we'll get back to the topic. We're coming toward the end here. But in yesterday's live on TikTok, which was also the Rational Boomer podcast, you brought up British John. He is a guy that's on the TikTok lives quite frequently. He's from the UK. He's lived in California for a long time. He has a wife, he has kids, he has a business, he's doing whatever. And today, which is Wednesday when we're recording this, this was the final day whether or not he would be given citizenship in this country. And he was concerned about it because he knew of some other white guys that didn't get in for whatever reason. He was worried because he lives here, his family's here, his business is here, so he was he's a pretty cool and collected guy, but he was worried about it. So I checked in with TJ, and I know people will be anxious to hear this that British John did in fact get citizenship. So he's not going to have to go through the bullshit that he was worried that he might have to go through. So for those of you listening and wondering how that turned out, British John did get citizenship. So that's awesome. Congratulations to him. He shouldn't have been fucked
Until
with, and thankfully he wasn't.
until Trump hears this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. What's this British guy? Get him the fuck out of here. Yeah, I'm going to have British John on the podcast in this setting because he's an interesting guy. He's a comedian. He's a former uh, intelligence guy for Britain. He's been in some war zones and stuff. He's an interesting guy. He's either a really interesting guy with an interesting life or a hell of a storyteller. But I think he doesn't seem to be a liar. So he's got a lot of things to say and bring up, and we'll,
Well,
we'll talk to
goddamn,
him
we have
further.
so many people leaving America. Why does he want to come here? I mean, he's doing the direct
That's
opposite of what everybody else is doing.
that's exactly true. We talked about as we're coming to the end here. We talked about the midterms, and if we got the House and the Senate, it would be a living hell for Donald Trump. Um, you thought he might step down. Now, a normal person, under the
True.
circumstances, given what's going to happen, probably would step down. But Donald Trump is a narcissist, and he just keeps doubling down and tripling down. Um, but it's my contention that when Donald Trump is no longer, whether a president or whether on this earthly plane, whatever it is, that is going to be devastating for MAGA. It's going to weaken the Republican Party. People always talk about J.D. Vance. Oh, he just thinks like Donald Trump. Yeah, he does, but he's not Donald Trump. He doesn't command the power and the focus of the media. People don't really like J.D. Vance because he's a fucking weasel and he's
Couch
not very
fucker.
good at what he does. Yeah, he does and says stupid stuff, but
Yeah.
he's not diminished because he's only 40 years old. Um, but do you think when Donald Trump is finally done, that is the end of the Republican Party as we know it now? Because he's really the only thing that gives them any power.
I think it is. I've told you that I think the Republican Party was done before Trump. I It may exist in name only, but you have so many fractions that Trump's holding together. You have a real white national, Christian national part of it. And I think people were tired of it. I mean, my God, you can't get porn down here without. I mean, it's like, come on. I mean, it's like you take away women's birthright, then you take away men's porn, and I mean, I'm not advocating for porn, but I mean, if I'm a fucking adult, it should be up to fucking me. But they
Yeah.
want to push all this shit they're trying to say it's the companies. And we all know the adult porn sites crash when the Republican National Convention's in town, Grinder. So it's just like I think people, I mean, they're tired of it. I mean, now they're going after gay marriage. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. How many people who are gay voted for Trump? And I've seen on TikTok, you have these farmers regretting it. Now you're having these like gay couples. I mean, and they always, what's the old thing they talked about with the race thing? They called them like the Uncle Toms, I guess, like I guess with back with the slave era.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, I'm not trying to equate that, but Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about
Perfect
we were talking
example.
earlier about voting against your own interest, and then you have these gay people that, I mean, I'm sure there was maybe some gay people that, supported the Nazis, and they were arrested, put away and everything like that. I mean, there wasn't a thing too long ago where you were almost pretty much considered a freak and a pervert because you were gay. I
Yeah.
mean, you go back and
It
watch
was
some of the
illegal.
old 60s stuff to where, I mean, it's like they talked about homosexuals like they were PDF files.
Right.
I
And they,
mean,
they go in the 50s and 40s and stuff, and they'd
yes,
literally raid gay bars and
yes.
arrest those people. That's what they'd fucking do.
And that's what we're going back to. And I think, that lady who's suing, and I use the word lady very, whatever, she's been divorced, what, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I think her last name's Collins or something like that, but she's the definition of a sore loser and a troll. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had friends of mine that were conservative that say the bitch lost. She needs to move on. But they've gotten it to the point to where they've got it to the Supreme Court, and that's what they're doing. And you have these Christian nationalists up there, like the Kavanaughs and the, Barretts, that, they do look at homosexuality as a crime. And if the Supreme Court does overturn it, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Did you hear? I heard another news story tied to that, though, and I find it interesting. Uh, I don't know which one, or maybe multiple apps that cater to gay people, like Grinder, something like that. You
Mm.
know, they have made a statement. They said, if the Supreme Court overturns this, we're going to release the names of every
Good,
Republican politician who's on our app. And
good.
I hope to fucking God they do that. Because those people piss me off more. The people that are straight that hate gay people, I hate them, of course. But I have a particular hate for people. I mentioned Scott Bessent before. Scott Bessent is the Treasury Secretary and stands with everything that Donald Trump says. But he is a acknowledged gay man who's married to another man who has kids by surrogates, and he stands with Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham, clearly gay or whatever you want to call them. I don't care that they're gay, but the fact that they're working against their own fucking community, there is nothing more despicable than that. Those people I truly hate.
Well, you look at the gay people on the Republican side versus the gay people on the Democratic side. You look at uh, Pete,
Yeah.
Mayor Pete. He's married, has a couple kids. Nothing wrong with that. Good Christian
No.
man giving those kids a home. And then you have the Republican. Who was that guy that got caught in the bathroom?
Oh,
I
I
tell
don't
you,
remember his name. He got
he did
caught in
the foot
Minneapolis.
tapping or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a few years ago, and I, being a young man, and I've been pretty horned up, but I don't want to fucking have anything to do with anybody, woman that's in a fucking shitter. I mean,
Yeah.
guys will do a lot of shit, but and it's like that's like the worst place to hook up is a bathroom because that's your private time, and it's like you talk about depravity, and this is a guy probably goes to church on Sunday, and it's just like. And it's like, but and if you're gay, it's like the old Seinfeld thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because there's nothing wrong with that. It's a choice.
Yeah.
Two consenting adults in their bedroom, let them do what they want to. Just avoid the farm animals. That's another story. But just, you know, don't try to persecute something that you're guilty of doing yourself. And not so much
Right.
guilty, but you're doing yourself. And that's what the hypocrisy is. It's like, it's like a lot of like Jimmy Swaggart, a lot of people, talked about him. It said when you're a Christian, you're supposed to be Christ-like. Oh yeah, well, Jesus hung out with prostitutes too, but I don't think it was the same thing.
No, I don't think it was the same thing. It was funny. I was talking to my son and my daughter-in-law today about this gay issue. Um, and I said, the bottom line here is I don't care about anybody's sex life unless I happen to be having sex with them. Then I'd like to know some shit. Other
Yeah,
than that, I don't care what you do. I've told the
exactly.
story about how some couple was telling me how they hated gay marriage and all that stuff, and it's an abomination and it's against the rules of the Bible.
Leviticus.
Yeah, whatever. And so they're saying this, and I said, well, while we're on the topic, what kind of kinky, weird shit do you two do in the bedroom? I mean, you got a fucking swing, you got toys, what do you got? What's going on? And they looked at me and they go, that's none of your business. I go, my point fucking exactly. So shut up.
Yep,
It's just,
exactly.
it's just ignorant. People just have to. It's weird that the Republicans always say, we just want to leave people alone. We want smaller government. This government has gotten huge under Donald Trump because they want to control fucking everything.
And Texas is the worst thing. It's like here they were. It was so funny. They were so worried about their guns and their bullets under Biden and Obama. And it's like, well, I mean, the Democrats aren't the one that took your shit away. It's the Republicans.
Right. And they were terrified of getting their guns taken away under the Obama administration. You know what? There were more guns sold under the Obama administration than any other administration in history. So fuck you. Shut up.
I saw a thing about, well, liberals like guns too. They just don't jerk off to them.
That's pretty much true. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it
much
is.
true. All right. Well, Jace, we're coming to the end. I thank you for coming on and talking to us a little bit about Texas and some of the other bullshit that's going on. I know people look forward to hearing from you. So thanks for taking the time to do that.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. We'll look forward to the next time you're on, hopefully soon. Those of you listening, thanks for taking the time. I hope you have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.